right?
Oh yeah,
They have more
this is Nectar Space.
more
Welcome to
subcoolers
my
installed
channel.
there.
And today is a booster 10 stack fire. We're in prop loading. I've been waiting for prop loading to start. I'll start the count. That's predicted count. Let's watch and listen. T-minus 1 hour.
Like action is really picking up here. So let's do it again. Ryan, how many engines do you think they will fire today?
I think they'll go full set, all 33 engines, static fire. SpaceX seems to be in the full send mode. Get all of the solo testing for the vehicles out of the way for the end of the year, and maybe teams get a couple of days off, kind of like they did with IFT2, where they pushed to get that flight, and then they gave everyone Thanksgiving off because it was pretty. It was a little dead around Starbase after that flight, as I think it was like a job well done. Now let's take a couple of days off and then hit right into the third flight. So I think that's what they're trying to do.
Absolutely. I'm. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I love this sound of the blocks running.
Yeah.
We should see a frost.
You can really like feel that it's now going. It's yeah. I'm just staring at this booster now and like waiting for frost to appear because it will happen any second. They are probably loading already. It just has not reached the outer tank wall yet, or like the tank wall. There's no outer inner tank wall. The tank wall. And as soon as that will, we will see the frost form. It's just a matter of time, and it's also a question of what will happen first, if it's the methane or the LOX tank, because methane loading started slightly earlier. However, the methane tank still needs to fill the whole.
There we go. Hear that squeal?
Yeah,
that squeal. We're in methane. We're in LOX loading. That squeal means always we're in loading.
We will not see frost.
We're in LOX loading a booster
If
10.
it's a static fire test, we will see frost only for the first wing or maybe 2 wings. That's usually how it goes.
There we go. So we are waiting, and I can confirm it's not yet fully visible, but there is already discoloration on this booster. I just did the A/B test, and it's basically on the. You see these vertical. What are these, like stringers?
Oh, yeah, the stringers.
Yeah, and there's like a horizontal line in there.
We're definitely in
that
proper.
line, there's already discoloration happening. Yet now you can see it more clearly. Now you can see the frost ring forming. You can really see how yeah. Now you can see the discoloration starting, and we are about to see the frost ring. This is basically the last few seconds before we see. So we are
for the ships.
Yeah, this is amazing to see, right? Like we are basically observing how the tanks get cold. And I know I see some people are like, I didn't see it. It's there. Trust me. I did just see some AP testing. It is there. So
when you stare at these things, as long as we all have, you start to see it.
Also, A/B testing helps. Just to explain what we mean with A/B testing. A/B testing means like going back and forth in the stream and like quickly comparing pictures, and you will see discoloration easily. So that's what we are really going for here. So that's nice. But that's an interesting one here. Will we see Starship run its first payload in 2024? And what will it be? Alex, I'm starting with you first. What's the first payload of Starship?
I think Elon said at one point that they want to launch satellites by the end of 2024. So that's probably going to be the first payloads that we're going to see on Starship.
There we go. Ryan, any different opinions?
I agree with that. It'll be interesting to see though whether or not they use their V1 version 1 of Starship to do it, because as we saw. So yesterday, S-28 performed a test of its payload core, So it'll be interesting to see if they use any of the upcoming vehicles or if they wait till their next revision to do it, or version 2.
Yeah, that's a valid point. The crazy thing about this frost line you're about to see is like it will race fast. Once it appears,
No, not that one.
there we go. You can see the discoloration, right?
Yeah.
Like you can see, and I think there comes the frost line, right? It's so hard to speed because it's basically just a constant process. But you can see the discoloration above the vertical, like reinforcements. So it's
Well, it's slowly
Yeah, there it
appearing.
is.
yep, it's coming. So we can confirm at this point, just to point this out, that there's a problem loading here. We're just waiting for the final sign here, for the frost ring really to be visible. There it is. Okay, there he is. There you can see the frost ring appearing. The frost ring confirms we have now confirmed LOX loading on booster 10 as it prepares to what we believe will be static fire with up to 33 engines. So you can now see this frost rising really fast as they are loading liquid oxygen. And there you can see the first condensation. Ooh, we are here.
So the next thing that we should see is that frost line growing, and as they also load methane on the methane tank, we will also see a frost line appearing there. At least that's our hope, because if they do load methane for a static fire test, then that means that we're going to see a frost line. For spin prime test, we usually don't see a frost line because they don't load that much methane. But for a static fire test, they load at least the first couple of rings, plus the downcomer or chancellor tube, and also the common dome of the booster. So definitely, we should see some frost appearing on the methane tank. The top tank, for those that may not know, that should be the
We're
the
in
next
top
one to
loading.
look
You see a frost ring.
Absolutely. So
for. And
let's.
I actually can see some discoloration already on the common tank.
Yep, I also see that. Right, there's certainly some frostiness in that. Again, that will take some more time to be fully visible, as there's the whole transfer tube that needs to be filled first before they can. It's really visible. It's more like you can see it being a bit discolored as the temperature drops in that tank, because they are filling really cold liquids into this. So it has an impact on the overall temperature of this. I want to thank here a person that was really generous here, Dankjab, gifting 50 Red Team memberships.
Wow.
Dankjab, thank you so much. That's really generous, and I hope a lot of people enjoy that. That's wow. Wow.
That's a lot of people that will have access to the multi-view stream for members.
Yeah, and like behind the scenes pictures and like member pictures. That's really cool. Thank you so much. Okay, this is a cool one because it's related to the next flight. How would the in-orbit fuel transfer mechanism even work? Am I right?
So if we're talking between two ships, well, I guess we can go between two ships, or I guess a propellant depot. And
I think I have to interrupt you here. I'm really sorry, but I think we see a frost wing on the methane tank.
I'm seeing
Yeah.
it too. This
Yep.
will confirm a static fire attempt.
feel confident saying that.
Yeah. The only other thing they would do is you fully load with methane and liquid oxygen, which, I mean, yeah, it's a good tanking test, but it's kind of better if you do it like in a full stacked kind of way for like a wet dress. There's not a lot of use just doing that only with the booster. I mean, it gives data, but not as much.
Also, they swept the pad. Also,
Yeah.
they cleared the pad and also did like fog walls and everything. That's like, you usually do that because you expect static fire. So that's all the good things you want to see. I like the progress here. I like the movement here. Let's see. Mixmoto asking the super chat here: are they going to make the second tower taller for Starship version 2, or add a segment to the tower? Alex, what's like? Do you think they need to make the tower taller?
No, so for now, all directions point to the tower to be basically the same height with the same number of segments and not needing
Methane
any
and
extra
lock
height.
section is underway.
It makes
Fueling
sense
is underway.
because all of the connections are on the bottom of the
So
ship.
you
and
see
if
the
you
count on
stretch
timer?
the ship,
That's
what you're changing is actually where the top of the ship is
far
located, not the
expected
bottom.
at.
The booster, if you don't stretch the booster, then
time you
bottom
see
connections
it
are pretty much in the same location. So the bottom connections of the ship are in the same location, and therefore you don't really need to move the tower of the hardware on the tower. Now, there's one thing that is near the top of the ship, which is the lifting points for the chopsticks.
Same thing with
But
power
those can be moved
because
down on the vehicle.
the
It's
power
not
finished
a
all
really
the
huge
locks
strict
loading on that time.
limitation, if you know what I mean, right? In the
But
sense
right
that
now we're
what is meant to just move
away
down those lifting
to
points,
see what
or
happens.
need to build a much larger tower that may not even be needed to be that long, right? It's a trade-off.
The locks was way higher already. It was about really high. So it seems that the sequence has changed. So we are in a bit of an unknown territory. If we try to guess based on the filling of Booster 9 at that point versus Booster 10, we might be about 56 minutes away from static fire. But again, it seems the sequence has changed. So the predictions are a bit out of the window. But yeah, I'm just doing my best here to do align tests and look like what did we see during the last static fire. So that's most interesting. Should they retrofit B4 and SM20 for future IFP flights, say for refueling purposes? Ryan?
Well, just to start off, to retrofit B4, oh boy, I don't even want to know how they would even start to do that, because first of
build a new one.
you would have to build a new booster, because I don't know if anyone remembers this, but anytime they needed to go inside of Booster 4, they had to hook up the crane to it because the tanks were not structurally strong enough to basically sustain the structure of the booster depressed. So you always had to hook up a crane to go inside. Luckily on the newer boosters, you don't have to do that. They're a lot stronger. Not only that, thrust puck's different. You wouldn't be able to do it. You'd have to just build a new booster from scratch. So, yeah. Same thing with ship. That ship is way out there compared to what we have now. Those are museum pieces at this point.
I think what I also can confirm is that they are going a bit slower here with the lock load compared to other tests. So what we have observed in the past is like a slow and a fast mode, how they can fill the LOX tank.
That's crazy.
Because, well, we don't know what changed. This is a new booster, and there might be some changes that we don't know about. Let me rephrase. They are for sure.
Really, really crazy.
It's a question of do they make it happen?
I've actually gone crazy.
So, oh yeah, we kind of stopped the question of how would fuel transfer work because I had to interrupt you, Ryan. Ryan, how would you test fuel transfer between ship? Like, what would you test?
Well, you need to figure out how to transfer large quantities of a fluid in zero G or micro G, and to do that, so you could do it a few ways. You could use pumps. The problem with pumps is that unless the propellant is settled right where the pump inlet is, you can start to cavitate the pump and destroy it. You could use low to high pressure. So the tank is going to be lower pressure, and the only problem with that is once the tanks are equal pressure, you're not going to be able to transfer anymore. Or you could use something, I believe it's like thrusters, in order to I'm trying to remember. Alex, you might have to help me out with this one. Like push the propellant through a certain outlet to go into another tank or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. We have to address something here because the OLM is back, which is rotor. And also the tank farm is kinda idle. So this seems low on Alex, this is too low, right?
Yeah. It's concerning, at best. I did not expect this, to be fair.
Yeah, this feels like a hold for me. It's like everything stopped. The old MVAT going is kinda more the idle mode at this point, where they do not fill LOX anymore. You can see methane fill has also stopped because the methane tank farm is no longer crazy. So both LOX and methane.
Switch to Google Fi Wireless and get Simply Unlimited. Our most affordable unlimited phone plan is just $80 per month for your.
A, this is a hold, and they will go on at some point. B, this is the test flow, which would confirm we are probably not getting a 33 engine static fire because that would be a very low load to do that. Or C, they have a hold at the problem, and they might need to stop this flow here. But we'll see. This is
definitely weird. Yeah, this is definitely weird because on previous flows when we have had a spin prime test, I think again the methane tank did not get full enough to see any thrust on it, and that was precisely designed that if you see a frost line on the methane tank, that means that it is being full enough that they're going for a static fire test. Then stopping here, the propellant load, the liquid oxygen side right now is idle. The oil vent is bad, which means they've basically halted the liquid oxygen load onto the booster. These are not the levels that we would expect for a static fire test of at least all 33 engines. Now, there's the really rare possibility, and I'm not saying that this is what is happening. There's option D, I guess, where it is not a hole, it is that this is what they're loading, and we're going to do a partial test of static fire, with messages idle. Like, that's
But
a
then-
really
but-
weird situation.
The other question then would be, why load so much methane if you're not testing so many engines, right? Because the methane load is, like, the methane load definitely would be on par to what we expect for 33, but everything else is not. Like, that's interesting. Go ahead.
I would ask you both on this one. Do you think, because do you think they would load it to where they are, do a spin shot, but not do a full recycle, and then continue to load and stack? It seems like that would be kind of odd to do software-wise. I don't want to recycle anything like that, but they will let that talk again. And now,
This,
to ask you guys a question, do you think they would do something?
I honestly, like, I wouldn't rule it out, but at this point, yeah, I mean, if people in chat, you probably notice, like, we are probably as confused as anybody. Like, this is, we have at least an expectation of how the behavior here should be, and this is certainly weird. Could this be planned? Yes, absolutely. We don't know. Maybe something has changed, but it's based on our early observation of, like, previous tests. This seems off.
Yeah, because again, if it were a spin prime test, this is the thing that we haven't seen this kind of load for a spin prime test, both of the methane and the oxygen. Like, I was actually looking back on previous spin primes. For example, Booster 9 had a load of liquid oxygen that was like half of the one that we're seeing right now. It didn't have methane frost, and so it's confusing, right? Because it's like, it's something new, or it's a hole. It's either something new or it's a hole, and either way,
Yeah, it's too much load already for a spin prime. However, it's not enough for a static fire. That's the weird situation we are in right now. So, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Like, that's why we're here. We are here to, like, observe and see what's happening there. And maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe not. So let's see what happens. I want to also thank here, because I have to for sure thank that Matt's gifting another 50 Red Team memberships here. Wow. Like, that's together with
is that the drone
thank.
that I'm hearing?
Thanks. You split me, yeah, but that was the drone. We for sure just heard the drone. That,
If you can find it.
so they are checking out something, apparently.
Isn't our camera view, this one is close to the liquid oxygen subcoolers? So if we're hearing it nearby, is that near the liquid oxygen side?
Maybe. Look at it, like, the liquid oxygen side is completely dead. Like, there's nothing happening. This is a bizarre situation. We have to... Huh. I'm sorry. Again, like, let's quickly finish this. Thank you, Max. Really, 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 for this, and I hope all the 50 people say thank you to you, because you got that for that. That's really, really good. Let's focus on this test, because this is right now very, very weird. The all vent is going again, which means they're in a pause. But it's almost like back into like a waterfalling situation. It's weird. The recondenser is going on the methane side still. You can see that on the right side.
It's been going ever since the methane subcoolers started to basically stop. Which was at the same time as the old vent.
I wonder if, since they're going straight for a static fire, or at least they might be at this rate.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like, I wonder if they're trying to put in, like, smaller tests along the way, like they load some methane and LOX into it, and then, see how the booster and tank farm is taking it, because they, this is the first time they're loading stuff since using this pad since the last flight. So maybe they're taking this time to do small tests in between. It's either something along those lines, or they do have a problem that they're trying to work through. Those are my only guesses.
Yeah, and it's probably fair to mention that before we went live, they kind of had a red team out there at the pad, at the production side of the tank farm, which, to be fair, it's in the back of my mind right now, where it's like, maybe it's being wonky right now, right? I just don't know. I really hope this is normal, but again, it's nothing that we've seen before. And it is true that the tank farm has changed. I was actually talking about this in the chat that it is true that it has changed, but we would expect at least the testing of the booster to be performed in a similar fashion, like with a full load of liquid oxygen, right, on the liquid oxygen tank. Because, for example, that in particular, it is used as the ballast for the static fire. So I don't really know if the tank farm changes are actually coming into play for the test itself. They could be in play for any sort of potential issue. That is a total possibility.
Yeah, it's once again, we don't have any insight in like the SpaceX countdown, and we don't have any insight in what they're planning. At this point, I feel like at least decently confident to call this like not an intentional hold of propellant load, because if they intended for a test to happen, right, they would have performed it right now, probably. Like, this is a very unusual and long amount of time they're just holding. So that's, I feel like we are getting closer and closer to that reality where it seems like something might be on hold right now, and something might not be performed. And again, every indicator we got and everything we have seen pointed to this being a 33 engine static fire, or like at least a huge amount of loading of liquid oxygen and methane static fire, and then it just stopped. So there are a lot of indicators right now which are pointing into the direction that this might not be happening. Saying this carefully again, like, it's just we don't have any, like, we don't have mission control or something for this.
We really try to
be won it.
Yeah. We really try to be very careful with all of this, because obviously things can change. But again, if you were to try a 33 static fire test, I just don't see which way they will do that with such low quantities of liquid oxygen. I don't know. Because that, again, it's used as ballast. And we've seen that with the ship as well. When they test 6 engines, it's not the same as when they test less than 6. So we'll see.
We'll use this time while we wait for more indicators to appear to thank some people. Starting with Chris Ray, saying in a super chat, ship XXV or 5 is the best ship. Well,
No,
it's no longer.
It says XXV stick. So
Oh,
they're referring
26.
to 26.
Oh, I didn't see the stick. Oh, then okay, that's just wrong. Sorry. Then we have Otto von Riebentrop. Why did I pronounce that English? That's totally a thing I could have pronounced German, but I decided to pronounce it English. Okay. So we're getting all kinds of references now with different ways to say booster. We have booster OXA08, this magnificent. So it's things are happening here with how we can say boosters. We have Doug Ramsey with just saying, I'm convinced ship 26 is being safe for a ship-to-ship transfer test of fuels. What are your thoughts? I will say no. I think it will be scrapped soon. Alex?
Yeah, I don't see that happening, to be fair.
I don't know what they're doing with it, but they are putting external vertical stringers between the payload bay section and the forward dome section and the rocket garden. So what SpaceX has planned for it, only they know at this point.
There we go. So Then we have Betty here with Super Chat saying, "Hi guys, I've been watching since before IFT2 being in Australia. You guys make my day for providing absolute fantastic coverage. Merch came yesterday, so thank you for the early Christmas. Lots of love." Lots of love back. That's a really, really very kind message. And we are glad we can bring you the coverage all over to Australia. Robert Kenny with a super chat here for forget merely numbering them. We need to start using cultural GSD BC ship names for booster and starship. Oh, this is an interesting thing because Alex, I think, recently sparked some controversy on Twitter by saying that he dislikes any kind of names for ships or boosters or anything.
Okay, no. I didn't say it that way. I said that in order to name spacecraft, once you have hundreds of them, it is really complicated. And then people in the comments said, "Oh well, but there's a lot of ships in the ocean and they all have names." And it's like, yeah, there's like 7 ships that are called Bob, and like, right? It's like there's so many ships out there that have repeated names. It's like if you're gonna have repeated names, why not just put numbers on them? And that. But they are not repeated, right? You probably will have a hard time to remember the numbers, but guess what? You will probably not have a good time to be able to remember all the names of ships and boats on the ocean. So the same goes for numbers.
As always, Alex has a good, valid reason for his opinion. So there we go.
I think thoroughly about those things.
Yeah.
We wake at night. No, it's a joke. That last part is a joke.
Mr. One Wolfie here with 10 Red Team memberships gifted. Thank you so much. And Epsilon314 with 5 Red Team memberships gifted. Thank you so much as well. Peter J. Shaw with $5 super chat saying, "If SpaceX figured out in orbit or on orbit refueling, could they use it to eliminate expendable first stages of their Carolox rocket?" So this is the Falcon 9 question, Alex. So you know what's up?
I'm not sure what is the connection there. No. They don't have expendable first stages. I guess they're talking about the second stage. That would make more sense, right? Probably there. So it is true that if you had an orbit refueling, you would probably refuel second stages, organize second stages in orbit. But then again, do they need them to come back? They are really cheap already, right? I don't know. It seems, to me at least, the problem of returning back a Falcon second stage is not about the propellant load that it carries. It's more about the return hardware, that it adds mass to the vehicle, and you can only carry that on one go. You know what I mean, right?
I think the question might also refer to the, like, if you have an expendable Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy, you could just use 2 and use one for propellant transfer, you know?
Well, but then you will need to address that tank problem on Falcon 9. And then you have the kerosene is pretty much at room temperature, right? So once you transfer it, you probably need to warm it up or something like that to keep it away from freezing. And then you have the liquid oxygen that needs to be frozen, basically in cryogenic conditions, and then it tries to boil off. So you need to cool it down. It's a whole mess.
True. Was Booster 10 tested at the Starbase OLM prior to IFT2 with a super chat question from Sandy Heights? No, it was only tested at NASA's, if I recall correctly. So that it underwent testing there, then got its engines, and then was rolled out to the OLM just days ago. And now it's being tested and providing a lot of questions for us here in what's happening. That's the current situation we are in here. We are, just for a recap, because maybe some people joined and we're like, I don't know, linked, like, look at this, it's a bit confusing in Boca Chica right now. What we have looked at is, we saw propellant loading start on Booster 10, and at some point earlier than we expected, stopping. And now we have a situation where the booster is apparently holding with still partially fueled tanks, and while the tank farm is no longer active. We can only see the OLM band. The OLM band means that they are right now
A lot
not
of
fueled. Yep, that's like almost like back to waterfall again, right?
And I hear the train again.
So I'm just, maybe this is me just having hope, but maybe this is like them restarting with waterfall vent and then going into fueling again. Ryan, what do you think?
It kind of seems like that, like they might have run into an issue and then they did like a quick recycle while still having propellant in the vehicle, and then they might be retrying for prop load. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if the frost level goes up and if the vent stops, but it is very weird what is going on.
Yep, but I like it. In a weird way, I like it because it's like, I like to be like surprised. It's not fun if we can predict every single task from the beginning. So this is at least something very new. There's some venting going on around the cryo bunker area again, like next to the lock side. But it's a lot of not the venting we want to see. We see venting, but it's not the venting we like. There's good vents and bad vents. These are the bad vents. So, we'll see.
I'll say one thing though, over the last, what is it? Last like 7 minutes or so, the engine chill line is getting frosty.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. It's been frosty for a few minutes.
Which is odd.
There's also a vent that just restarted, a new one. I hear something again. It's
and the funny thing of the. Go ahead, Adrian.
I think that's the is that the recondenser? Like, it's always we always try to use basically our ears and our eyes to observe these tests because there's a lot of different information you can gather based on what you hear and see. And yeah, it's right now really interesting. It's a really interesting test, what's happening here. And of course, this could also be, and that's the one thing we have to address here, this could also be them preparing for a test, and we might see a spin prime or something any second. That would be weird, but it's not impossible. Just to point this out.
Looks like not only we have a drone, but also a bird.
Yeah, some of the cameras a bird.
That's scary, probably.
Also enjoying their test, apparently. So, we will see. The question also is how long can they be in this configuration, because there might be a point where they have to detank this vehicle. But yeah, there are pipes that the engine chill pipe being frosty. That's more of a good sign, right?
Well, I mean,
it's a weird sign.
It's a weird sign, yeah. Sometimes they've used that line to vent some of the oxygen overboard. So, yeah, it's a weird sign.
Yep. So we'll just have to observe this, and I mean, the good thing is, and that's always an indicator I'm looking for, like something is moving, right? Because something has changed. I always like when the status of something has changed, because that means something's still going on. The worst thing that can happen, I think, is when nothing's changing anymore, because that for sure means there's a halt. So observing at least a status change of something is something I like. But
see, for example, in this view, you can see there in the background, in the far background, that all of that venting is actually not coming from the oil end. It's actually from the pond, from the engine chill pond. So it's basically all of the stuff that we're seeing there through the chill line. That's basically what we're seeing there, and I don't know. That's a lot of venting.
Yeah, I've also checked, and they're not detanking it either. Like the frost lines are not receding. That's interesting. So.
That's weird.
Yep. But we like weird. We like weird. Weird is fun. So we'll see what's happening here and how this all plays out. Let's do some more questions here. Could this be a new iteration of Super Heavy to go with V2 of Starship? So basically explaining the changes. Do we have anything, Ryan, do we have seen any indication so far that this might be like different because of hardware change?
This wouldn't necessarily be a new iteration of Super Heavy. At least not this booster specifically. I mean, there's always been revisions on newer boosters. The one that we've seen another revision on would be Booster 13. It's got another vent near the common dome. But we haven't seen any like major changes that might be associated with like a version 2 of a Super Heavy yet. And as Alex had said earlier, especially with like Star Factory and whatnot, it's going to be really hard to see if there are any major changes, like external changes coming, because seeing things internally is going to be kind of hard going forward. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we have to just expect this, like, while Starship matures as a system, the changes will be less visible and less obvious. That's just a thing that usually happens in rocketry. Like, once the changes will be less radical versus some earlier changes. But there will also be some very visible changes. As we, for example, saw with Falcon 9, if you look at the early Falcon 9s versus today, there were some obvious changes that changed how that vehicle looks. So, it's commonly... It's gonna be interesting to see how Starship will look like in 10 years. Do we think we will see a booster catch and relaunch next year, Alex?
A relaunch, I don't expect any of that happening next year. A catch, that will be a big stretch. But maybe, I don't know. I think it's more likely in 2025. For both, for the catch and relaunch.
Yeah, like I think also 2024 feels a bit early, but we'll see. Ryan, do you think also like 2025 for booster catch, or what's your expectation?
Yeah, I'd say 2025 at the earliest. Because like next year is going to be. Next year is still going to be let's get into orbit. Let's test all these systems on orbit. Do probably some more refueling demos and all that stuff, and then they'll probably go ahead and try to catch. Because, I mean, well, yeah, reusability is a big hallmark of this system. They really need to prove the system out before they even get there, and they'll expend boosters and ships while they prove it out. They'll eventually get there, but we'll have to find out when.
And just to recap what we have seen so far today, we have seen Booster 10 moving into testing as the road was closed in Boca Chica in Starbase, and we saw the pad clearing, we saw early tank farm activity, then we saw the red team going to the pad earlier and apparently fixing some issues both on the area where the deluge system and the CO2 tanks are localized, and also on the LOX subcooler side. And then SpaceX moved into a normal testing flow until the test moved into propellant loading, and apparently since then has stopped or halted at a certain point here that we have now observed for about 20 minutes. So that's where we are right now with Booster 10. We expect with Booster 10, since the overpressure notice was delivered, that this is an attempted static fire attempt. But we, at this point, will have to wait and see what this test will bring us. That's the recap of where we are. The one vent we have been hearing now for a longer period of time has just stopped. So that has changed. And we will... Oh, no, there's it.
Again.
It is really interesting because the LOX load really hasn't moved. The methane load hasn't moved. It seems like they keep topping off, or at least filling the CO2 tanks, which a lot of that, especially if the CO2 and all that stuff, kind of supports a static fire, plus all the other preps that they've done. But the LOX load doesn't support a static fire. But they do have the engine chill line going. There's a lot of like things that support it and things that don't support it, and it's just going to be like well, what's gonna happen?
Whatever they do, it's a really weird test.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, in the last few months has been a common theme. We also saw that one ship
Fair.
26 test. Like, out of lately. Just saying that. So there could always be. Also, to just kind of point this out, so far we have not seen any indication that they are unpressurizing or that they are, because they are like not detanking anything. It's just this state, this situation. So that's also the situation. Maybe they are testing a smaller number of engines. Alex, this would also be like we also saw different LOX and methane loads for lower amount of engine static fires, right?
Yeah, that is true. That could be one of the possibilities today, is that they are testing a lower amount of engines. We don't. I mean, I.
No!
At this point,
I'm done.
okay, whatever happened, right? It's how I'm gonna take it.
No,
That's
thank
because
you.
sometimes when things just don't go the way that you expected, just go with the flow.
Absolutely. I like that approach. There's also another sound again that was added to the sound mix here. Just to point that out. So we will observe. We'll observe and see what is happening here. And
Definitely, whatever test that happens, one of the things I will see is the fire X system activate, and then we will have that kind of heads up for any sort of testing. But again, we don't really know what's going to happen.
Yep, absolutely. Another question here about Artemis, because, well, this vehicle is very related to Artemis. How is the Artemis schedule looking? Is it still feasible? What are the consequences if they are too late, if any? Ryan, how do you think, how likely it is that this will fly in like 2025 on Artemis 3?
Very unlikely. SpaceX has a lot to still do with proving out the vehicle itself before they can even build an HLS version of the Starship. I'm thinking Artemis 3, the first human landing on the moon since since we last went there, is going to be like, what, probably 2027, 28 is when I would assume it's probably going to happen. But it'll be interesting to see how fast SpaceX goes to getting HLS up and running, as well as the other variants of the ship, like tankers and all that. But a lot of the big holdups is going to be proving the vehicle and building launch pads, because they're going to need a lot of launch pads for all the tankers that they're going to need for fuel. So.
Yep, there we go. Another question here coming with a super chat from James Sargent, asking, and this is for you, Alex, could they be testing the status of the booster after Miko, a little left in both tanks?
That is a really interesting question. Could be.
Because that's also the point where the booster had problems during the last flight, right?
Yeah, I mean, in that case, they will also probably only light the 13 inner engines to test that. I don't know. I mean, under that kind of situation, as they're proposing, then I guess that could be the case.
I like that idea. Like, I'm not saying that is for sure the case, but I like the idea. Like, I really think that's a very plausible and interesting theory. To say it like that. So, but yeah, also Jenny here in another super chat saying subcooler or pressure margin issue with LOX farm, maybe sensor issues. Like, we don't know at this point. We know that the LOX farm had issues earlier, and they went in there and fixed something. So of course, always there's this second thought that you have, like, maybe something in the LOX farm has a problem. So we'll wait and see what happens here. But that's the situation. Could we be testing a landing burn? I'm not sure about that. I think they would be a bit lower in propellant probably in landing burn at this point. But maybe that's just me.
Like, it would be nice because it's like a hold. So the one thing it would be nice to have an indication of whether a depress or the OLM vent shut off. The problem is they've been in this situation, or this hold or idle, if you want to call it, where the vent's open and the load in both tanks is just staying steady, or at least it's not going up, and it doesn't seem to be detanking. It's just in a holding pattern, and it'd be nice to have some kind of indication, but right now we got nothing. So
absolutely. Daniel asking here in a store question, and a store message question, would Starbase Tower 2 be a better target for the first landing? Initially, less hardware in case of parking issues, booster beeping when backing up. First off, I love that you call potential landing issues parking issues, and then I'm throwing this to Ryan. Do you think the first landing attempt will be Tower 1 or Tower 2?
Ooh. Maybe Tower 2. It really because it'll have a more updated Mechazilla. So it might be Tower 2 that it happens on, because my guess is that once they get the second tower at Boca up and running and 39A's up and running, and they got more pads going, like the Boca pad is gonna get like shut down for like overhaul for a while, where they'll update the OLM, they'll update the tower, update the chopsticks to bring it up to like reusability and like catching stuff, if they don't already have that capability. I would probably go with the second tower on that one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm following that logic. But we just have to wait and see. It also depends when they're going for it versus where the tower. Like, constructing a second tower will not be going in like a few weeks. That will take months.
Oh yeah.
Especially like the situation of the like, there's one thing of building the tower, and then there's like outfitting the tower, right? Because it might look complete initially, but there's like a lot of small little details they also have to do to get these towers operational. We have seen that with this first tower. First tower was built relatively quick, but they worked on it for a long time. So that's also part of this. Well, let's see. Alex, I love you. You know you love this question, so I will let you take that. Hey, where do you think Tower 2 will be placed?
Oh, okay. Because it's either that or the other one. Yeah. I really don't know. We were asked this yesterday, and I went on a really long rant as usual. That I just simply don't know. There's so many possibilities. We know that at least the previous plan was to put it south of the current launch complex. The problem is we haven't really seen any expansion to the south. Meanwhile, we're also seeing them removing pieces of the suborbital pads. Basically, suborbital pad A is now gone. With ship 28 completing testing, you could imagine, and obviously ship engine testing moving to Massey's, then it is very likely that we're just gonna see all that going off, right? And then that location will be perfectly clear for any sort of launch tower, because they have the space there. The problem is obviously, well,
I'm just a proud father who sometimes likes to get his balls.
With over
How long? Oh, well, if you're sitting at the OLM, probably not that much because that's still gonna be quick. But that's way too.
Get an unlimited phone plan starting at $80.
Sections of the tower. Now, those parts for the 8th and 9th tower sections have been moved to the Sanchez lot, so they are already there, and they're actually trying to build those out. And then the 7th tower section, that is the one that we saw on the barge, and it is now heading towards the starbase. We don't really know when it's gonna arrive, maybe in a week or so. We'll rely on our boat guy, Gavin, to track that, but definitely that's the first of up to 7 potential sections that may be shipped from the Kennedy Space Center all the way to Starbase. So those segments are pretty much the same height. If you add them up, you have the same height of the tower as we see here at Starbase.
There we go. So we at this point expect a second tower, and as Alex said before, we don't know exactly where it will go. Earlier
One
plans
thing we
always
do
showed.
know.
Oh, we do?
Oh, drone! Look at that.
Oh, there's a drone.
Hi, drone.
It's looking at the booster.
Or at the vent, or both.
I mean, is
Maybe
that
it's
kind of
looking-
part of the
Maybe
booster?
it's looking at the stairs.
I'm not. I'm feeling confident it's not the stairs. That's my prediction here.
Why not?
Going bold.
Poor stairs.
What if the vent
just
got
to-
stuck open?
So just to recap for maybe people who don't know why there's a drone, because there's no drones in Boca Chica, right? That's a drone that SpaceX uses to check in on ongoing vehicles that are in testing. So because there's not like you cannot have a human next to this right now, because it's a very dangerous place. They use a drone to give them like a mobile camera kind of situation. So that's the thing that's happening here. They're checking something, which probably means they're investigating something, which means something is going here. We'll see. So
But yeah, going back to what I was saying with the tower is that we have had all of these debate whether it's a catch-only tower, a launch tower, which is basically the other usual question that we have about this new tower. And even Catholeaders has already said that it is a launch tower. It is to support increased cadence for this next year and the following years here at Starbase. They have big plans for a lot of launches, a lot of production from Starbase, and that is not going to be the only launch tower that you're going to see in the next few years, because there's going to be a lot more out of the Cape as well. So just stay tuned, and we're going to see a lot of launch towers. Launch, not catch only.
Yeah,
I guess you
no
could
catch
call them
only.
launch and catch, because they can also catch, but they're mostly for launches.
They need pads badly. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a catch-only tower, like, the only way I could even see one of those even possibly existing would be if they built a tower to be a launch tower and used it to catch something before the OLM was built. But you run into the problem that, well, you need a stand to put said vehicle on. And if it's a booster, well, if there's an OLM there, well, there you go. You can put it on the OLM. If it's a ship, well, you need a stand right there to do it. So you might as well just build the pad anyways. So, yeah.
I know we talked about this earlier, but we are now in a
T-minus
situation
30
where
seconds.
we have to recap some things. Considering how well Flight 2 did, what are your Flight 3 predictions? Ryan, you go first.
Well, I think the first stage ascent will go the same. Hoping for all 33 engines going again. Would love to see that
10,
Mega Mock
9,
Diamond again.
8,
That was incredibly
7,
amazing.
6,
Um,
5,
and
4,
then a successful
3,
stage separation.
2, 1,
The one thing I
0.
really hope
We're in a
is when they do the booster flip, that whether it's a matter of timing or whatever it is SpaceX has to do to fix whatever problem that may have ran into during that, they figure it out and we get a boost back burn and a splashdown in the Gulf. Now for Ship 28, hoping for a successful burn all the way till engine shutdown and a coast all the way until reentry. Now, reentry is going to be the big question mark. Can that heat shield hold and work for reentry? I'm going to chalk it up to like 50-50 right now. I want it to succeed. It would be utterly amazing to, be watching the stream and all of a sudden Ship 28 smashes into the Pacific Ocean in one piece. That would be... I don't know if I would have the words to describe it, how amazing that would be. They would pull that off on the third flight.
Yes.
But I think the more likely scenario is they have an issue with the heat shield, maybe around the flaps or something, and something breaks and then it tumbles and burns up in the atmosphere. That's what I think is the most likely case. But, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I will agree with you that we will probably see Ship 28 going all the way through the firing of the engines, right? And I do agree that we will probably see them lose Ship 28 during re-entry, but I will totally be okay with that. Like, even if it reaches that point, anything after that is anything after that is unknown territory, because Starship hasn't re-entered from orbit, or rather almost orbit, but I guess it's sort of the trajectory that it will take on a normal re-entry. So yeah, it is a very complicated thing for a vehicle so experimental as a Starship. So I mean, I will not be, oh my god, they lost it during re-entry, wow, such horrible thing. No, it's okay, because this is experimental. That's the whole point of flying, right? They need to go through and be able to test that re-entry. And hey, if it works, that'll be really, really, really good news. But if it doesn't, then they'll figure out what went wrong and go ahead with Ship 29 and try it again. And now, as for the booster, I do hope that we get the same result on Ascent, right? 33 engines all the way up, hot staging, and then hopefully it may be able to at least complete the boost back burn. I'm not gonna ask a full return, because that's probably gonna be too much to ask, especially with how dynamic the whole thing is, and there'll be new things going on. So I don't know, but at least I really wanted to see Ship 28 completing its burn, Booster 10 completing its burn during Ascent, and perhaps also the boost back burn as well. That will be a really big win.
There we go. Let me thank some more people here. First off, Blackhawk, thank you for 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. Robert Kenny with Super Chat here saying, for Booster 10 lift, let's give him the GCU name of Only Slightly Bent. Oh. Air Force Vet with a Super Chat saying, in regard to testing or storing boosters, taking them down could create new problems. I actually agree with that. Like, I'm not sure if they can easily... I'm not sure if they can easily take them horizontal and store them. Ryan, what do you think? Could they store a booster horizontally and take them down?
You would need like a special jig in order to hold booster, because the way these vehicles are built, they have an issue supporting their own weight horizontally. So, like if they were to transport them like on a barge, They would have to like build a jig in order to just support the entire booster and keep it pressurized. You could do it. It just wouldn't be easy. It'd be a lot of specialized equipment to do it.
There we go. Pocky Tally saying in Super Chat, 33 Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas to you as well. Vanva Judson with Super Chat saying, sorry if this has been asked or answered. Has there been any definitive word on what triggered the rot on IFT2? Alex?
Nope. That's the short answer. The long answer is no.
I think there's long and short answers are kind of similar here. It's just me, maybe, but...
Yeah.
Talon becoming a launch director. Thank you so much, and enjoy the perks. Duke Nukem with a super chat saying, do you think they are doing additional purging of new equipment? Ryan?
It's I don't think so, because they loaded the booster with propellant. If they were doing purging of new equipment, they would not have loaded anything into the booster, because that then runs into the problem of you just probably put foreign object debris into the booster, and then you get FOD damage, and that's a recipe for bad. That's just bad.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Yeah, if this would have been a purge, the booster would not be involved in this, because that's kind of the thing you want to protect from, that thing you're purging out. Drew with 5 Red Team memberships gifted, thank you so much. Cheney becoming a launch director here as well, that's really generous. And Mads with another 50 Red Team memberships. Wow, that's like to the second 50, so that's 100 in one stream. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Burning a Grid with a super chat here, thank you so much. And Jacob saying with a storm message, honestly, I don't think I've seen a more inspiring image. Let's see which image we're talking about. And that's yes, that's a really cool image. I get why that's inspiring. So enjoy that metal print. Okay, just to recap what we have seen, Alex. What has anything changed in the last, let's say, 20 minutes? Oh, Alex is not. No, God, I will throw it to Ryan. Ryan,
okay.
Ryan, has anything ongoing?
Well, it does appear that the frost line might be going down for the locks and possibly for the methane, but a very small amount. Because usually when they're holding the propellant load, like the line is even, and it's kind of uneven right now. That's really the only update we have so far. I mean, the OLM vent has just been going non-stop for a while now, and it's just kind of makes you raise your eyebrow wondering what's going on here. So
yeah, like it's getting more and more confusing by the minute, because it has not changed. It's not like they have not started the depress or anything, because usually if they would really go for a full detank, we would also see depress vents, right? So this is definitely something that is confusing for sure. Let's see another question here. Because we wanna answer most question. If they go for a static fire directly, Ryan, why would they skip a spin prime on booster 10?
Well, like with Falcon 9, so when a new Falcon 9 booster goes to McGregor, they do a cryo test just to verify the tanks, and then they do a static fire to verify the engines. SpaceX would like very much to get to that with Starship. Do 1 or 2 cryos, or just even 1, just to verify everything once it's built, and then you static fire all the engines once to verify all the engines and all the plumbing, and then move on to a flight. Because the less testing you need to do, the better, because it's quicker vehicle readiness. It's less strain on the pad systems and your testing equipment, and it just saves time overall, and it saves propellant. It's less LOX, LNQ, and methane you have to go through, so it's better overall to just try to go straight to it. Whether or not it's the right call for them to do, that's up to them.
Absolutely. So we'll have to just like wait and see. And again, that's always the other part of this. Of course, we observe and we get a lot of visual data about all of these tests, but that's really just the surface data that SpaceX gets. SpaceX has all of these sensors. They have all of these very insightful ways to analyze all of this, which we never get to see. So they have like a much clearer picture about a lot of things here that we just have to observe and try to puzzle some informations down, which like they're the experts that are building these things, and we are just the observers that are looking at it. So that's always keep in mind. Like we're just Texas tank watchers here. We are trying to make sense of what we see, and sometimes that's right, and sometimes that might be wrong. That's what we try. We try to get a better picture here. So, assuming the ship does a breakup on re-entry, how would SpaceX even tell what the failure actually was or where it started, Ryan? Like, how would they analyze this?
So on ship, inside the tanks, if I remember correctly, they have temperature sensors on the windward side or the heat shield side. So if a ship were to re-enter and break up using downloaded telemetry, they could be able to find the hot spots in the tanks where maybe hot gases started to hit the tank wall and broke through. They have tons of onboard cameras, so if like a flat failed, they'd be able to see where it failed and stuff like that. So it's loaded with sensors and cameras that gives them a lot of that stuff. Now, if they were to lose telemetry, then it'd be kind of hard to tell. I know that NASA had wanted to use a WB-57 at some point in time to view Starship as it came in and whatnot, so that would be another way they could tell how it failed.
Yep. And also, somebody here asking of a quick recap and current status, and I will quickly do that. So what we have seen so far is Booster 10 moved into flow here after initially some troubleshooting on a tank farm. They moved into a flow of preparing the tank farm and then went into propellant loading, and about 10-15 minutes into that propellant loading, it appears that they have occurred a hold, and since then they are in that hold, and we just see some melting of the ice on the propellant that is in the booster. We have not seen any signs of direct detanking or like depressing, so it seems they're still in a hold here of whatever might happen. I'm throwing a question here to you, Alex, which is about fuel slosh, and I know that's a topic you like, so I'm gonna ask here, can they not put baffles in the tank to prevent fuel slosh? So enjoy talking about all the ways to prevent fuel sloshing.
But hold up, can they not put? If you don't put baffles, then you are not preventing fuel slosh. That kind of seems weird. Yeah, it's the opposite, right? You need to put baffles in the tanks to prevent fuel slosh, but they already have slosh baffles on the tanks to prevent fuel slosh. So actually, fuel and oxidizer slosh, to be more precise. And I actually talked about this on previous streams where I mentioned that these tanks, they have two types of slosh baffles, and you can see them either when they are building the domes, when they are building the tank sections. You can see that there are a type of slosh baffles which are called radial slosh baffles that go from the center of the dome outwards, and not technically from the center, but you know what I mean, right? They go in radius around the whole dome, and those usually avoid, for example, the swirling. There's also usually other sorts of devices such as the anti-vortex device, very on point because it avoids vortices on the common dome, for example, of the booster in the ship. And so there are.
It's in the methane transfer tube, like right in the sum of that, for anti-vortices,
And so those devices really avoid the swirling. And then you have the circular slosh baffles, which are the ones that are attached directly to the wall of the tank instead of the dome. And then those, what they avoid is usually the swinging of the liquid. You know what I mean? Like once it goes up and down like a boat, bobbing on the ocean, some sort of same effect of the liquid bobbing up and down. So that kind of sloshing is reduced by putting those baffles. The problem with, because I'm probably sure that what they're thinking is about the sloshing stuff, all of the liquid sloshing around during the hot staging system and the flip and boost back burn of the booster. It's a really complicated situation because you don't only have the liquids bobbing up and down in the tank, right, going up and down, but you also have them pushed up towards the top of the tank because you have the engines on the ship fire on the top of the booster gets pushed back, so the liquids inside get pushed forwards because of the Newton's third law of motion, and so you have all of that stuff going on there. And it's actually not the third, it's actually the first, but anyways, you kind of have all of the laws in play at the same moment, so that's fair. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that it's different kind of slushing, and one way that you could probably prevent something like that is perhaps some kind of pass-through bulkhead. Like you put a bulkhead there, where you expect that liquid to be located more or less, that has maybe a pass-through somewhere on the bulkhead so that you can drain the tank. But then when you get that push, the tank gets pushed back, the liquid tries to go up on the tank, but then you have that sort of bulkhead in the middle trying to stop that movement. That could be a way, but I don't really know, to be honest. This is such a complex problem to solve. Again, no other rocket has done this kind of maneuver.
Fuel sloshing has been something that anyone building a rocket has always had to deal with, because once you get to stage separation, you've always had to perform an ullage burn in order to settle your fuel so your engine can actually use it. Otherwise, well, your engine's not going to be happy if it's just pulling air in. It won't even be able to light. It doesn't have any fuel to it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we are still we are trying to recap here from time to time, and just to recap again, Booster 10 is still in this test flow, and we have not seen any meaningful changes of what is happening here since, like, it has been almost an hour, right? Like, I think we are, like, sitting here now with an hour of this OLM vent ongoing, and we are just waiting. So, yeah, it's certainly an interesting test we are observing here. And again, all of this could be planned, all of this could not be planned, we just don't know. And we are observing here and are excited for whatever is happening here. We can also see there, I think that's, that you can see it on these frost lines. They are not really like they're not really detanking, and we don't see them like going down in the frost lines. They are melting. Because there will, at some point, the propellants inside will start to boil, and once they boil, they will rise and be gaseous. So the frost line, the liquid part of the fuel propellants, will lower, and you will see some melt effects. I do not think this is detanking, because detanking usually has some other indicators and also is a bit faster. I think this is basically because they are so long in this hold that they are waiting for this to, or like that it's melting. So that's just an observation here we have seen here as we show the methane line here to going down a bit, but yeah, we'll see what's happening here. That's another here. Charlie asking, when are they going to run out of O2 with all that venting going on? Alex, I'm throwing this to you.
Believe me, they have a lot of liquid oxygen.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I think I did the calculations way back in the day on those, or at least the ballpark of it. What was it? The total number of GSE locks, I think it was somewhere around 5,000 metric tons of liquid oxygen they have. Something like that. So they have a lot. And that will take a while to vent out. if they do, if that is what they're all venting, it could also be LN2. But it's kind of hard to tell what's going on right now. So
yeah, it's they're certainly like venting a lot out of this path vent today. That's something we can tell, and that's definitely not like them detanking or anything, because that has just been. That's also a weird thing. It has just been constantly going. Like there's not even some sort of pattern there, or some sort of like increasing or decreasing. It's kind of this force now since they are entering this state. Everything
We might have
feels
an
very
abort
stable,
for this test.
which
Looks
yeah,
like an abort.
it's certainly interesting to observe. So let's see. What gas is this actually venting here? Is this LOX or is this nitrogen? What are we seeing here that is being vented out of the pad?
Yeah, that's oxygen.
mm-hmm.
And they, I mean, unless they have any issues, they will never vent methane.
Yeah, like that's
Bearing
not
any
methane.
issues again. Yeah.
I want to thank Gunfox here for in total 60 Red Team memberships gifted, a 50 and a 10. Thank you so much. That's like the memberships gifts have been so generous today, and again, you're really giving other people also the opportunity to experience our membership program, which you are really
TOS 10 minutes.
So thank you so much, Gunfox, for that, and I
Estimated
hope
time.
everybody make sure to thank the people that are giving you these memberships. Really, that's the thing we do here. We make sure that we thank people. Did something just change? Maybe I imagined something, but the sound changed a bit. That's like at some point you start to see things, right? You just want something to happen.
The lines are receding, as if but they're going way too slow to be detanking. So I really don't know what's going on, unless it's boiling off.
I'm just gonna so we have seen this once. So I will just say this. We right now see a vehicle very stale for a long time, and we see frost lines receding. What if they just have to wait for it to boil off right now? Maybe something is not behaving the way they wanted to, and they are waiting for the liquids to boil off. Like, is that a possibility here, Alex? What do you think?
It could be. It's not out of the question, to be honest.
I mean, it can be a very simple issue as well. Like, if they, for example, lose... and again, just flagging this is just us talking about what all of this could be. It could be a normal test, it could be something they just have way to it, but we have seen them before losing, for example, control of a vehicle and have to wait for it to detank and to perform. So, yeah, it's just a possibility as well. But so far we have not seen any indication that this is like unusual or an anomaly or anything. It could just be them waiting for something. So we'll have to see. But based on what we know, Alex, or like, I'll throw it to Ryan, like they have potential burst disk in such a case as well, right?
I'm trying to remember if they do on booster. I would assume they have some sort of failsafe. Otherwise, yeah, the tank you could run into issues. Because I remember we've had one burst disk blow at Starbase, if I remember correctly. That was on SN8, back when they were testing its header tank. If I remember, yeah. I think it was SN8. Where they had a blown burst disk when they were trying to static fire from a header tank and ran into an issue.
Yeah, I think it was like thought that went into like into a Raptor engine and caused them to lose pneumatic control of the vehicle, right?
Yeah, that sounds
hydraulic.
familiar.
Sorry, hydraulic.
It was a while ago, so you know.
In 2 hours, I'm gonna end my stream if nothing else happens.
For booster
So-
though,
Because we've been waiting here for hours.
have one. So that it'd be interesting to see if they do have a failsafe to blow if they are running into an issue here. So
Can we tell how much fuel is in the fuel tanks by the ice around them, or does the ice only form at the bottom of the tanks? Alex, is that a line where we can see how much fuel is in the tanks?
Well, when you see thick frost, that is precisely when you see that that actual line of the propellant. Here, what we're seeing is thin frost, basically the frost that formed when there was already liquid methane on the booster tank there. And now that it has receded, the tank is still cold, so that frost is still remaining, but it's heating up, obviously, because of the ambient temperature. So as it heats up, it becomes thinner and thinner and thinner, and it just disappears, basically. So that's what you're seeing there. So right now, the liquid methane load, the level of it, is pretty much already under the height of the common dome bulkhead. I mean, the weld line of the common bulkhead. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are we looking at? We are looking at booster 10 set for a potential static fire. However, it seems they have holds or aborted the countdown ongoing and are currently in a now for about an hour ongoing hold. I feel like at this point, Alex, it's very safe to say that this is a hold and not planned, right? Like, do you feel confident saying that? Or should we feel confident saying that? Like, I don't know. I feel like something is just not going here.
Yeah, this is pretty much signs of detanking, of going back to a detanked vehicle, not filled with propellants on board. The liquid oxygen tank, it seems like there's still a bit more frost, but you can see that pretty much all of the frost there is that it is becoming thin on pretty much every location that you see there. It's becoming thinner and thinner. So yeah, the liquid oxygen level, it's probably also below that of the weld line of the aft dome.
There we go. I want to thank some more people here because we have, for example, Ben here with a super chat saying the test campaign pace is mind-blowing. The speed between IFT2 and testing for IFT3 is really incredible. They could shave off like 2 to 4 months compared to IFT1 to 2. Absolutely, like even if this right now seems a bit off, overall this pace is still increasing, like it's still incredible. So we could totally see a few months here between flights coming. So all good here. We'll see how this develops. And thanks you again, Ben. We have Anonymous here with a store purchase saying, "Great streams. Thanks for all the coverage. Thanks for supporting us through the store." And I'm just quickly checking. And then we saw some metal prints, the Flight 2 metal prints, and also the Raptor Wrangler shirt. There you go. Good choice. And I hope you enjoy all of these. We have Byteford here with a $50 super chat. Thank you so much, Byteford. Off topic, what are you doing all for Christmas? And on topic, if we don't have a static fire today, will we have it tomorrow? Quickly going to the off topic, I'm just celebrating with my parents, my family. That's my Christmas plan. So, just quickly, like one sentence. If you want to share. Go ahead, Brian.
I'm just kind of, well, Christmas night I am working, so. But, you know, it's, yeah.
And to answer the on-topic question, if they don't have the static fire today, will they have it tomorrow? Alex, if they are not able to do this today, would they do it again tomorrow?
Well, that's the big question, right? Will they be able to test again tomorrow? We don't really know.
Yeah.
They do have a closure for tomorrow, again from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's possible closure, it's not scheduled. And then they also have next week after the 25th, because they cannot close the road on the 25th. I mean, technically, if they're in a hurry, they could probably say, hey, we want to close the road on the 23rd. And then we then our Christmas plans are going to be streaming Booster 10 testing, I guess. But yeah, right now we don't really know, because if they have a problem either with the booster or the GSC or both, will they have time until tomorrow to be able to solve all of that? Maybe they do have the time, and in such a case they could
Switch to Google Fi Wireless and get Simply Unlimited. Our most affordable unlimited phone plan is just...
Yeah, for all we know, I mean, they still have, like, what, 5 hours?
Yeah.
Like, plenty of
Who
time.
knows?
We could be still in here for a long haul. We don't know.
The
Kyla
methane
Monaris
side
with
is
Super Chat here.
completely
What are the odds all of these weird events are in the booster problem, but
Take us a
actually
couple
extensive GSE tests?
Take us a couple more
It-
minutes for that
The
methane
chance is not zero.
side
I want
to
to
be
quickly say
replenished.
that. Like, the chances
All
could
the
always
ice
be there.
on.
However,
Because it was
I think it
all
would,
blowed off.
for mostly GSE test, risking your main vehicle right now is certainly not super likely. That's how I would word it. Any other opinions there, Ryan?
Thanks for the
Uh,
9
if
views,
GSE
7
test-
views.
If it were like a extensive GSE test, I would expect them to test the new, like, detank lines that they have, which means they should be able to detank this pretty quickly. So I think this is more of an indication that they may run into a problem. What that problem is, I don't know. But I think that's the most likely scenario here, is that they got a problem and they're trying to find a way to figure it out and save the vehicle.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but that might be an indication. Like, that might be a thing. Although there's something interesting going on right now. If we go to the camera that has the locks side in view, Patrick, we can see that there is apparently a ground line vent. Sorry, the one that is close to the condenser, to the subcoolers. That's there's a ground line that right now creeps up there at the front there. You can see just above the ticker that has been moving a bit. Like, that's an interesting change a bit. Like, there has been some changes here.
Yeah, they
There.
have a couple of vents out there. I've never figured out what they are for. They have multiple vents, one pointing up, one pointing down, one pointing sideways. I think there are up to 3 of them. In that location. It's weird.
That vent has been started again. There to the left here, that is kind of close to the explosive storage, because on the left there, that's the area where they store the flight termination system charges, and there has been a vent. So that vent, the perspective is a bit off here. That vent is going more into the distance. It's not directly next to that container, and yeah, that's the explosives there. You can see it, explosives. That's where they store the flight termination system once they are close to flight. I do not believe there's any FTS chargers right now in there. So, but yeah, there's a vent, ground vent. There's a lot of ground vents here actually ongoing. We are almost at the point where the methane tank seems to be, well, completely empty again, or like close to completely empty. We have the LOX tank, which is continue to recede. So at this point, I don't think it's super unlikely that they will have a look at this and look what's happening. But again, this closure is going until 8 p.m. local time, which means there's still a lot of time for them to test. We just don't know what's going on here, and we will have to observe.
You know,
Go ahead, Ryan.
kind of ridiculous, Adrian. I think it's like, Patrick, if you look over to the left a little bit, how much that cloud is going out into the wetlands there. Like, it is just like spreading out all over the place.
Yeah, look at that. That almost looks like liquid oxygen, like flowing over the ground, right? Because you can see almost like this flow that is happening there.
Yeah, that's all coming from the Olin vent and the chill vent on the pond. It's really crazy how much they have dumped through those pipes. I don't know.
They may need to replenish
your
before they try again.
I mean, this whole event, like even before the fueling, it has been ongoing for about an hour, hour 20, and now it's like another hour 20. So this whole event has now been ongoing for about 3 hours, which and most of that in like full active mode.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a lot
not even
of locks.
a bit. It's just constantly venting a lot. So that's really interesting to see. What's going on here? Well, yeah, you can see the methane tank basically has no frost line anymore. It's just a bit of condensation about the common dome, while the LOX tank also continues to recede. But again, we don't have seen like any depress vents or anything. This just seems like they're letting it boil off right now. At least that's how it feels to me. That this feels more like a boil off than a detank, because the detanking usually goes a bit faster.
Oh yeah.
Than this right now. So we'll have to wait and see what's happening here. But lots of time again left in this window. If it's methane, it would be ignited in the flare stack. No flare stack here, sadly anymore, Ethero. I miss the flare stack sometimes. But yes, if that would be methane, it would ignite in the flare stack. But let's check. When the waterfall stop, we don't know. Alex, what's that pipe we see there? Do we know that?
Oh, Alex is.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that is part of the methane recondenser. So what they do is they use LN2 to basically recondense the methane from a gaseous state back to a liquid state, so they can either reuse it, like put it back into the tanks, or even put it back into the vehicle. That's what that vent's for right there.
There we go. So it's kind of the weird thing about the methane recondenser is it has a bit of a different behavior on the orbital versus the suborbital tank farm, because on the suborbital tank farm, it's that's just new sound. That's
an interesting one.
I don't see it anywhere.
Oh.
That's an interesting sound.
Yeah, I haven't. It's not like a regular vent. It's like a. I don't know how to try to think of how to describe it.
It sounds almost like how to say, like if a vent had like a smoking voice, like if you know the voice of a person that smokes a lot, like almost like it's a weird way to describe it, but that's how, like, it has a like weird sound in it. Yeah, the crackle. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. But that I have never heard that sound.
No, not. I've never heard that from the orbital tank farm before, or from a vehicle.
It almost sounds like a diesel.
Yeah.
Almost like a generator.
You know, that sounds like a motor.
Yeah.
More in here.
Yeah, it sounds like a motor. Yeah. So that's interesting. That's interesting. And it's gone.
Okay then.
But yeah, it sounds like it. Like looking at it now, it sounds almost like a diesel or like a generator. I would almost say like a if you turn on a motorbike and like leave it idle before you know.
Yeah.
That kind of sound.
Yeah. That's kind of what it sounded like.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't see like anything related to it, I think. I'm like, there's always this thing about going through every footage we have quickly, just making sure we are not missing anything, because there's a lot of things we could miss. I don't think we saw any indication where that was coming from. Yeah, but either way, you're still standing by here, and we are trying to understand what is going on here in this weird, bizarre test, which again had an overpressure notice. Like initially, this test had an overpressure notice announced, so they expected something that might result in a potential explosive hazard. Otherwise, they wouldn't bring out the overpressure notice. And since then, the test has been an interesting observation, for sure. Let's see if we are getting more questions here. Is the methane done and now they are fully open on the locks, hence the noise? I do not think that is related to detanking. We have heard detanking before, and that hasn't, like, that sound can never come out. So that's definitely interesting. Deluge depress. I mean, I would have imagined we have heard that before.
I don't know why you would need to depress the deluge. That's not how.
Oh, look at the lock side has, like, on the lock side has been also like a vent going on again. It's
You can see
like
the
there's
drone there.
yeah, there's definitely some movement here going on. Like they are doing something with this tank farm. We just don't know what. I think at some point we might, like, there's two ways how this goes. Either at some point the tank farm suddenly spools up again and we see them moving into tanking again, or we will be scared by a sudden depress wind. Like that's these two ways how I see this.
Yeah.
I'd bet on a depress vent at some point. Just don't know when. At this rate.
Not to be snarky here, but at some point there will be a depress wind. Otherwise this booster has a problem.
Well, that's true. Overall, there needs to be a depress vent one way or another, but it would be kind of funny if after all this they detank and then they spool up again, retank, and we get a really late test. But that's hoping. I wouldn't mind I still wouldn't mind for a static fire to happen, even if it is at 7 o'clock. I mean, come on, a nighttime static fire of 33 engines? Yeah.
Would be cool. Would be bright.
Yeah.
Although it will also mean that we have a long day before us.
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
Alex and me, because it's already 10 p.m. for us.
Yeah. And I need to finish writing Twist this week in Spaceflight.
Yeah.
The last episode of the year.
Yeah, true. So, let's see. The Lux is also receding now at a very slow pace, but it's receding. And the OLM is really the one thing that is the most constant here. It just has been on go.
Yeah, both the
If
vent.
they aren't detanking and the liquids are warming, where's the pressure going?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Because, like, if it's boiling off the locks, where's the depress for the boil off?
Yeah.
Or is that going back through the QD? Or are they dumping off that through the engine chill? I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff here that we have never seen before, and it's interesting and weird, and
Yeah, certainly. I mean, these are the kind of questions, like, usually we see some depress vents because they need to release the gaseous form of liquids, methane and primarily liquid oxygen, because at some point they need to release them, right? Because you cannot recondense everything. You cannot recapture everything. So that's just the reality here, and we have not seen any depress vents. And here, because the one thing about depress vents is, like, you might miss visually them and you might not see them, but you will for sure hear them because they are loud.
Oh yeah.
So let's see if we have any more questions here. There hasn't been a depress, right? Does this mean recycle? So, Alex, in previous, like when they went to a recycle on anything, have we seen a complete depress before recycling?
It kind of depends. Sometimes what we saw is like a partial deep press where they, because especially back in the days, we tend to expect 2 deep press vents, one right after they abort, and then another one when they are fully done with the tanking. And so we normally only saw the first one when they used to recycle. But we really haven't seen any tests being recycled in a long while. Mostly probably because the issues that they have been having are not dumb issues, like they're probably things that really need them to go out to the plant and do work, things like that. In which case, then it's not a simple issue. It's something that they need more time to dedicate for that issue.
I would like to check in with the roadblock here, because at some point that might be an interesting thing in play. So if that's it there, that's the roadblock. And it's still very much in place. It's not like cars lining up or anything. So the road is still very close to you as they're ongoing. So let's see how it happens, but it seems like so far no cars lining up, which is usually the sign we get when they are close to wrapping up here. So interesting for sure. Interesting for sure. How long until they run out of nitrogen, Ryan? Do we have any guesses?
I mean, we'd have to know, flow rate and all that fun jazz. I don't think we really have an idea of when they'll actually run out of stuff. It's one of those things that I don't know if we've ever seen them run into sort of an issue before. We do have a lot of it. 2 of those vertical tanks in there are filled with LN2, so they have a lot on hand. Same thing with liquid oxygen, as we were talking about earlier. I don't think they'll run out of it, but they're definitely using up a lot. So, yeah.
But
yeah, it's just
absolutely. Absolutely. Let me thank some more people here. We have Paul gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you for that, Paul. We have Jay getting calendar for my kid. She's a fan. I'm glad. I really hope your kid enjoys the calendar. I hope they will. Brian here with Super Chat saying 80k watching and only 5.1k likes. Hit that like button, Tank Watchers. Santa might give you something special. Yeah, thanks for everybody that liked the stream so far. It really helps to use the YouTube algorithm gods. So, there's Cloud Rider with Super Chat here saying, when do we expect that the engine chill will start from now? As of now, so that was 40 minutes ago, but it was already kind of the same situation we are in right now. As of now, we really don't know. Like, we really don't know if there will be another engine chill. We really don't know when they will move. Everything that we thought we know about this test flow at this point has been completely obsolete. We are just watching and observing if we spot anything that's familiar. But this is totally, this kind of test has not happened before. So we are in uncharted territory. We have Julie becoming a Padrat member. Thank you for that. We have Jim gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you for that. Mike with a super chat. How much bigger are the Starlink sets that fit in Starship versus Falcon 9? And how much faster could they build a full constellation with a fully reusable Starship? Ryan, you want to take that?
Well, the Starlinks that they can put inside Starship are a decent amount bigger than the ones they can put on Falcon 9. I mean, it's a product of the fact that you have a 9-meter wide payload bay. Now, so you have more capability in those sats. Now, also building it faster.
Can we go to tank farm view?
Yeah, you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, right?
The methane tank farm has returned, right?
What?
So,
yeah, sir.
I want to underline Ryan's what's.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Like,
and now it goes off. Now it dies off. Like, what happened there?
There's a genuine genuine, huh?
Huh? I mean, at this
Alright.
point,
Was
And
that,
also-
was that like... Okay, so to understand what happened there, the subcoolers have this sidewards vent, and that usually means that they're pushing through with the methane, and they're basically loading propellant on board, loading methane on board. And we just saw that, and now it disappeared. So it was like a burst kind of thing. And so it's like, what happened there?
this is.
Not
I have
super-
completely lost any meaningful sense or
That-
track of what is happening today.
It
That
sounds
wasn't the only
like...
thing though, because
It's-
they just had a vent
Yeah.
On the
the LOX
booster.
tank too, but it wasn't a deep press vent. It was just a vent. Like
It's like when you do the rhythm pop pop pop, you know what I mean? And then someone does pop pop. I think that vent on the subcoolers was the pop pop at the end. Like, there you go. That's the end of the detanking or something like that. It's like, okay, pull it off. It's already detanked. I don't know, but it kind of sounds like that. Because it was very short. I was for a second saying, oh, maybe we have... No. Right? I was in the middle of thinking they're loading methane again, but no.
Chris B and Chad, you what, mate? Yeah, like
Yes.
what? What?
This is a fun test. This test needs I hope we get some sort of explanation somewhere of what happens today.
I
Yes.
hope.
But the answer, usually SpaceX only confirms tests that they're successful. So I feel like this might be one of these tests that go down in the history of tests that we just don't understand. So
Oh.
we'll see. The vent is that's the vent on the booster, or is that like? I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
This sounds are confusing me at this point.
And I completely lost my train of thought with that question after that happened.
Alex, Alex, I knew you like Starlink. How much bigger are the Starlink sets that fit in Starship versus Falcon 9, and how much faster could they build a full constellation with a fully reusable Starship? I know you love
Oh, dear.
Starlink.
Oh dear. Yeah, we've been working for a long time on a video about that. The Starlinks that are launching on Falcon 9 right now, the B2 minis, those are, I think, so the width, I guess, is, or the depth, I don't really know. One of the dimensions is the same for the V2, but it's the other one that changes. It's basically like half of the other dimension. So I think it's like length or something. So the length is about, if I remember, 4 meters or so, I think. And then the other one is also about half, where you can put 2 and 2 together, and so that's how they basically put the, not 2 and 2, excuse me, they put one on top of the other, so it's the same width, but then the length is shorter so that you can put them on the Falcon 9 pairing. Basically it is about around 3 meters by 3 meters, probably a little bit more, and then the height, like from the bottom of the satellite to the top of the satellite, it may be like 40 to 50 centimeters, more or less. So when you stack them all up, and then you have the rods and everything, keeping all of that together, you can fit 20 of them inside of the 20 up to 23 right now on the Falcon 9 ferry. On Starship, they are about double the size. So the size is about 7.5 meters wide, and or length, I guess, and then but the width is the same. But now you put 2 and 2 together, and then you can make another 7.5 meters. So that is basically how they do it on Starship, where they put 2 of
Really?
those. So each Starlink satellite, Starlink V2 satellite is twice the length of the V2 mini, right? Same height as well, but the length is half on the V2 mini. And then you put 2 and 2 together, and then you can fill up the whole diameter of the Starship payload bay, and now you stack pairs of them, and you can have maybe up to 54 or something like that they showed on one of these renders. Now, there's a total possibility though that this is not going to happen, because Elon already mentioned or hinted at a version 3 of the Starlink satellite. So it is very possible that we're going to see another version of the Starlink satellite actually launching on Starship that maybe takes the whole diameter. Like it's some 7.5 meters, kind of satellite, a very big satellite, but it will take up the whole diameter of the interior of the payload base section, and then you stack, maybe instead of 54, you stack 27 of them on Starship. Bottom line is, in order to build out the full constellation, you will need hundreds and hundreds of launches, regardless if whether you use Falcon 9 or Starship.
Yeah, I think there was a point where I asked you in a call, hey Alex, how close are they to getting done with these Starlink launches at 3 a.m. in the night? And you're like,
Never.
You laughed at me. Yeah, you laughed at me.
Now, if you expect them to stop Starlink launches on Falcon 9, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have to wait at least 3 more years.
Or
because
more.
they have a lot of launches.
Like, they're going to be launching Starlink for... I mean, Starlink is inevitable. It will always happen, always be happening. Who knows when it'll stop? You know, it's just one of those things you just got to get... You know, it'll always happen.
I feel like that's a good shirt also for Max to wear. Like, Starlink is inevitable. Like, I think that's a good shirt.
Store idea? No?
Maybe, noting that.
Yeah.
Ralph here with a super chat saying, here's my appreciation for your marathon commentary
Alright,
during a weird
I'm
weird
about
test.
done.
Merry Christmas to you all.
Booster
Thank
I would
you,
say Booster 9
Ralph,
would
and
have
first off,
already
Merry Christmas to you as
detained
well.
by now.
And I can tell you,
Could
like,
be a
we enjoy this right now. Like, this is, we are confused, but we enjoy this. This is the kind of test we really like. Some good old confusion, some observation. That's
Thanks for all the
that's
people
the kind
watching
of stuff
too.
we want to see. And
That's
also,
very impressive.
this might be
is the
me,
first
but
time
is the old
anybody
event
has ever done this.
slowly getting
Lots of
less
like
and less?
It's what it looks like. Yeah.
Still a lot,
Why?
but like that's no longer like full force, right? It's getting a bit
No.
less. I will rewind a bit here, like 30 minutes. Yeah, it's definitely getting less. So, interesting. Interesting. And of course, still nothing at the roadblock that indicates they're close to done. And nothing, like no cars at the pad or anything. So, we'll see how this goes. Mark here with a super chat saying, could you use magnetic fields to push around cryogenic O2 in the tanks for orbital refueling? This question is on a lot of level out-qualifying my knowledge. Anybody here knows a lot about magnetic fields?
I mean, it is true that cryogenic oxygen is sometimes paramagnetic. I think it is the word. Whatever. Basically, when you push a magnetic field through it, it basically can be levitated and move it around. But yeah, we're still seeing those vents from the oxygen tank. Those are the normal vents that we see. The deep press vent, whenever it happens, you notice when that happens.
Oh yeah, it's loud.
Yeah, that's loud. It's also like on all 4 cowbells and everything, right?
Exactly, yeah. Even the 4 cowbell vents, the other vent that we see there, all vents are going off at the same time.
Sorry, I have to interrupt. Could we go to the roadblock?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, maybe false alarm? But there's a lot of cars approaching and a cherry picker and their turn. Never mind.
They're going
Alright.
to the...
Yeah,
That
to the
looked...
village.
Okay, that looked
It's
really
BMT
suspicious for a moment because there were like 5 cars and a cherry picker approaching. But they were like fainting. Like, that got me. I'm sorry.
They're just try to confuse you.
Yes. But like, there were like 5 or 6 cars slowly approaching the cherry picker. Like, oh, that's the
There's a
and they're
reason.
like, nope.
There's a reason why you were the original Boca Chica car counter.
Yeah, I'm looking at cars. Like, that's my thing.
Adrian confusing everyone, getting everyone all crazy. Like, what? No, what? Oh. All for nothing.
I'm sorry. That's the drone. Hello, drone. Stationary,
One more
close
minute.
to the side, watching, observing, menacingly. So, there we go. Blushboy here with another 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. Mr. Bert Wayne with Super Chat here. Why do you always sound like you're guessing? My engineer friends keep sending me clips laughing. Well, that's the problem with like
Not
we are
noticing.
trying. Yeah, we are guessing, like, because we don't have any like inside knowledge into the details of SpaceX. And SpaceX is not really telling us, but I feel like we usually like more, like we have a good chance of like being more right than
Well,
wrong sometimes.
I'll wrap
At
it
least
up.
in the past we were. Oh,
Thanks for
first
watching,
to orbit:
y'all.
Starship, New
And
Glenn,
this is
Ariane
Next
6,
Space.
Vulcan, Tianlong 3.
We watch 'em. Bye.
That's I have to order this. First to orbit: Starship, New Glenn, Ariane 6, Vulcan.